The following is rated TV MALSV. It contains strong language, violence, and nudity. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome everyone to Too Many Chefs. I am your host, Devious Dave Rose. Thank you so much for joining us here today on episode 6, I believe we are on. Yes, random stuff plus viewer challenge. And as always, let's start off the episode by showing our gratitude and appreciation for all those that have chosen to spend their time with us here today. So going to the chat, we start off by looking and seeing Nicky Nines, the Nine God himself. He'll be going live later today from what I've heard with his amazing gaming streams, so be sure to check that out. We've also got King David 0455, Chad, the Yielder of the Wrench, Ronald Booth, It's the Costanza, and a few more, I guess, that are currently watching but not yet present in the chat. So let's start off by thanking you, as I said, for being here, because we're going to talk about a lot of different things. Then we're going to get to that viewer challenge. So as some of you actually might know, today is Mardi Gras. It is Fat Tuesday. And it's actually also International Pancake Day. So there's at least a few things that are going on right now that have piqued my interest, at least, and I thought I'd share them with you. But there's also, we're going to talk a few other things, recipes and stuff. And as always, phone lines are always open. And after all, that is the purpose of the show, to have as many chefs as possible to create the decorum that's necessary in a kitchen, in a crazy kitchen. But before I get too distracted here, I just want to shout out Bam6956 in the chat, as well as Festlove. Thanks again for joining us. So Mardi Gras is here. Now, I've been reading up on the state of Louisiana, and it looks like parades have been canceled, although you can't stop those people from partying. So there's going to be something going on. We'll see how much they are enforced, but this is technically, where they have to unleash their stress, because I believe it's for the next 30 days, 40 days, until Lent. They can't partake in certain foods and certain activities, and obviously of the Catholic creed. So today's the day to get it all out of your system. That actually, it does obviously relate to the carnivals, or the carnivals, that would take place in Venetian Europe, for example, where there was a lot of debauchery and a lot of letting loose, orgies and such, prior to Ash Wednesday. And you had a lot of similar acts going on in the old world, where it was quite extravagant and opulent, and that got transferred as Europeans made their way to the New World, to the cultures that resided in some of the more populous and traversed areas, obviously, like many ports on the Spanish Main, if you want to call them that, which is the Gulf of Mexico and portions of the East Coast. So, let's talk actually about. Oh, Costanza says, "What's the warning about?" Yeah, I'm not going to take kindly to those types of jokes that you're playing there. This is it's not a serious show, but it's not a show that we're going to diminish ourselves and talk poo-poo caca, jokes that certain individuals already do so in, abundance. This is a show that we're here to have fun, but talk about food. That's what we're here to talk about. And speaking of which, let's talk about the food that they actually eat at Mardi Gras. And I just thought that this would be something cool to consider, think about. A lot of people aren't familiar either with Mardi Gras or, what's featured there. Obviously, there is that predisposition to think that Mardi Gras really is just throwing beads and having, tits thrown into your face. Not a bad thing, but there's other things that come with this, and it's the fusion of cultures of Acadian, Creole, African, Spanish, French that's mixed, and center points like New Orleans, as they call it. I know it says New Orleans, but that's a taboo. You can't really say that. Just like you can't say Newfoundland, although that's exactly how it's spelled. You got to say Newfoundland. So, just a little warning when it comes to pronunciation. Some people take it very seriously. Not me, but some people do. So, regardless, there are a lot of different. Actually, that is such a great point. Actually, a very accomplished chef and baker, Nicky Nines, the Nine God himself, says it so succinctly that I think I'm going to have to trademark that and use that as the motto for this channel. Drama is not an ingredient here. It couldn't have said better than that. That is gold. That should be emblazed in gold. Beautiful. So yeah, let's talk about food. I love food. You love food. And just there's so much to talk about because of this amazing fusion that has occurred with all these different cultures. So there's just so much that we can talk about. There's something called king cake, and it's like a very it's like a bundt cake almost, but you have a lot of creams that used on and a lot of sugars, and it's very colorful. There's a lot of things that you'll notice as well with not only that southern type food, but specifically at these particular festivals is the brightness of the food, the popping, the attraction, the visual component that goes in with it. Let me just quickly check. I'm hoping to get my secondary monitor hooked up soon. Now that stores are finally opening up here in Ontario, I should be able to get myself another computer stand or a monitor stand so I can actually get this sort of hanging in a nice way, so I can monitor the chat and monitor the stream and do all that sort of thing. Let's see here. Gumbo, obviously, is something that is known for being featured in the South. And obviously it contains a lot of different ingredients. There's a lot of mixture of both seafood and vegetables and things like sausages, for example, or other types of pork cuts. Rice as well is a huge staple there. Jambalaya, using very similar ingredients as well, but not very much like a soup, like gumbo, but very bright as well, color-wise and so forth. And let me just get back to the chat here. We got Theslov says, oh, well, yes, why not? I mean, I like to talk about karaoke, so I mean, that's a subject that I'm, not willing to ban or not want to discuss. And hey, if you make a observation, just like there's mold on that cheese, and your observation is the ability of somebody to sing, well, it's really just an observation, is it not? But anywho, And yeah, just a reminder, people, call in. I'd like to get some more input on a few things here, and I want to bounce a few ideas off as many chefs as I can. Crawfish is a big deal in the South as well, and étouffée is basically French for smothered, and it's just crawfish smothered in a rich cream, a lot of creamy sauces in Louisiana type Southern cuisine. So it's creamy and rich, and it's got obviously it's mixture of spices, paprika, for example, cayenne. There's also peppers like poblano, onions, celery. What you'll notice as well, if you look into this topic, is a lot of this food is poor people food. It is quick and easy to make, especially because of all the plantations that lived there and all the slaves that were there, obviously hundreds of years ago. And this food just became, because of the fusion of the cultures, just became sort of its own sort of standard and bred life on its own. As I mentioned, rice is a big dish there, but they mix them with beans as well. And this is a classic Creole dish. Beignets are actually something I haven't tried the southern type, but this is common French cuisine. And it's basically like a donut. It's a fried piece of dough. It looks like a puffy little pillow, and it's just sprinkled with confectionery sugar, also known as powdered sugar. Let's see, what is the next one that I'm going to cover here? There's crawfish bakes. Obviously, as we know, any sort of seafood is commonly eaten. Where's that next one here? Yeah, it's called a boil, and they just cook up hundreds of crawfish, and they're small, so you're not getting much meat out of them, but if you can eat enough, they're quite filling, and the way that they're steamed is delicious, and usually mixed in with potatoes, some vegetables, corn also being obviously a big meal that's featured. Now there's jambalaya, for example, which is well known in the South as well, and it's essentially sautéed onion, celery, and pepper in what's called andouille drippings with herb, garlic, and spices. And essentially you can mix this in with the typical mixture that you would normally mix. You've got sausages, spicy pork sausages. You've got shrimp or prawns, as they are properly called. Some parsley, maybe some bay leaves. And it is definitely very filling, and it's very nutritious too, because it's got that good balance of just a wide variety of all these different elements. And that's something I do like to discuss very much, is trying to create a balanced meal. Not necessarily balanced with caloric value or balanced with I guess the caloric value really is not my concern, but the nutritional value and the balance between what's featured. So obviously you're not going to want to make it too predominant with spice or with meat or with vegetables, where it throws off the entire dish. But you want a nice balance between all those elements, not just for the flavor, but also for the health benefit of it. Because unlike some individuals out there, you need vegetables to live. If you don't, you get scurvy. It's as simple as that. So it's very important that people consider that something as simple as chopped up celery can mean a big difference. So back to some more recipes here when it comes to Mardi Gras. Okra is used quite a lot as well, and that could be in stews and gumbos. It can be fried, for example, boiled. So there's a lot of different different methods that it could be made. Grits is a big thing as well, which is basically cornmeal, and it's mixed in with milk and heated. You can put butter in there if you want. Cheese is common. It's basically polenta. Polenta is Italian version of that, obviously much older, but it's not as gritty. It's much more smooth, depending on who's making it and so forth. But usually it's supposed to be much more smooth. It's very, you could consider it very similar to like well, one of the ways I like it is like a fondue in the sense that, and it's got mixed with cheese, but it's creamy. And polenta is amazing. Now, if you let it harden, for example, and then you cut little slices, you can actually fry these things up on a pan in the morning for breakfast, which is common in Italy, and you can add that to, eggs. You can have it as a side for sausages. There's a lot of different methods of making polenta and how adaptable it is. It's delicious stuff. But that is what grits is referred to. Let's see here. Just a couple more. There's a lot of repeated recipes here that I'm looking at. And a lot of the dishes basically are just, it's the same elements. It's very much like Indian food, for example, where you're going to find chickpeas and beans and rice just in varied forms with varying spices and stuff. And they're called, things that are totally different. So cornbread is a big deal as well. And hush puppies is also a big deal there. But yeah, that covers just a basic spattering of recipes that are featured or eaten commonly around Mardi Gras time. Although many of those foods are just common down there, so it really doesn't matter when they, there might be an event. They're still going to be eating them anyways. So, thought I'd share that with everyone here today. Let's see what else. International Pancake Day. Now, I'd love to hear this from people in the audience. There's different philosophies, obviously, but how do you like your pancakes? Some people like them American style, extremely thick, like you see on TV, for example, where you have a stack of like 10 and it's like 6 inches or more tall. Some people put that little slab of butter on top and then they slather it with table syrup, which is an abomination and one molecule away from plastic. But hey, Mars, what's up, man? Thank you for joining us here today. He's known as Big Poppy, ladies, and he is the perpetual bachelor. So if you're looking for a good time, I think he's your man. Plus, he lives in Vegas. He knows how to show you a good time. So, and no, I'm not his pimp, but I do take commission. So, and Nikki Nines, another great point is I like pancakes like me women, thick and buttery. Sounds delicious. And now JR4 III brings up the next point, because this is the other side of the pancake panorama, as it were, is that you've got crepes. Now, crepes are obviously French, because that name is French. Consider them this, and in fact, this requires some imaging. So, since I actually did look this up the other day for an individual who was ignorant on what they are, I thought it was very important that I share this knowledge, this love of food with said individual. And since you're here with me, I want to share it with you. But if you truly thought pancakes was the end game, you are now about to enter into a different dimension of flavor. Whether it be making them your own, or if you're not feeling up to it, as it were, you can easily go to a breakfast restaurant that can make these for you. And I'm just trying to find another image here. I know that the palpitation, the anticipation is palatable. I'm having difficulty concentrating here. Let's just grab a random one before I start drooling on my keyboard here. But there we go. Let's do this. Save that one too. Come on, let's go. And we do this. And yes, this was really a last minute sort of random decided stream. You know, I'm usually better for this when it comes to being prepared. But yeah, I wanted to do this. So just bear with me here. And okay. So this is what crepes look like. They're extremely thin. They're like pancakes. Well, they are pancakes essentially, but they're extremely thin, and they are so adaptable that you can do just about anything you want with them. Now let me catch up with the chat while this image should be transitioning here. Rada Booth says, I like blueberries in them. Lather it on, says Mars Mira. Gabe Rodriguez, who I've been trying to find how to get in contact with you, and I can't find any comments in my chat, or my videos, only your messages, and YouTube doesn't let me fucking, go to your page and shit. So message me either at deviousdaverose@gmail.com or call me up on Skype, and we can get you on the show and we can get you to talk about food. He says, hey Dave, I love me some gumbo. People usually make gumbo with brown roux. You need a blonde roux instead, and a little burned people over burn, and a little burned. People overburn the roux. Oh, people overburn the roux card though. Well, see, I'm very ignorant on that type of food, and I would love to learn about it. So, phone lines are open, and yeah, I would like to get some of your knowledge here about this sort of thing. So let's transition to another photo here while I catch up on more of what's been said. Mars says, anytime you want to come to Vegas, Dave, I'll take you to some excellent restaurants. Well, I hope that it can finally open up to where it was before, because that's what I want to experience. I don't want to experience like no buffets, and I'm not a big buffet guy, but damn, some of the stuff I've seen there, it's just, I got to indulge in that, level of opulence. Blue Lou says, I have no idea what the hell he's trying to say. He speaks jogger. Anyone speak jogger here? Okay, well, we all know no joggers are allowed here, so bye-bye. Jacob Blinkhorn says, love meat crepes, love blueberries with whipped cream. Oh, that pic looks delicious. Yes, and that's the thing, sky's the limit. So whatever you want to put into the crepe, you're good to go. So if you want to put whipped cream in there with blueberries, you're good. Fold it up if you want. Cover it with some confectionery sugar. You're good to go. So you want Nutella spread or hazelnut spread, one being Nutella. I don't endorse Nutella here. So you want to put it in there. You put it in there. Put some strawberries in there. Flip it over, like cover it up. Maybe drizzle some chocolate sauce on there. Bam, you're ready to go. Sky's the limit when it comes to crepe. And, in fact, there are some people, a blintz really is sort of like a crepe, but it's got more savory and salty foods in it. So you can put even You can put vegetables in it. There's been with asparagus, for example. I've seen people with asparagus sometimes with a little type of cream sauce. Onions with bacon, for example. There's really a lot that you can. Yeah, exactly. Like Jacob says in the chat, the toppings you can add are endless, and there are breakfast places that literally have crepe buffets, and yeah, you can go nuts with this stuff. But that's the thing, though. Some people like that big, fluffy American style pancake, and they like a big stack of them, and they like to eat them that way, and that's perfectly fine too. All it is just an adjustment on the components of the recipe, and you make it your own, whether it be super thin or ultra thick. And either way, you can make it yours. You can make it unique, and obviously it'll be delicious. But the challenge with the crepe is to make them so thin, but also make sure that they don't dry out quickly or get too crispy. I like a crispy outside of a crepe, but still sort of a malleable interior. Not runny, because at that thinness it's not going to get runny, but not dry either. It's like spongy. That is, to me, the perfect consistency. And if you take a look at this first image here, I truly do believe that this is what a proper crepe should look like. You're depending on your equipment, you're normally never going to get a full browning of anything, really. That's just how it works. But regardless, you're not looking to create an even color. You're looking to cook it properly. And this is basically what you're going to be looking for. Oh, and something that's actually huge in Argentina, which I grew up with, obviously, is crepes with dulce de leche in the middle. So as you might do the same with hazelnut spread, you put some dulce de leche along the middle, and then you fold this thing up, and then you could use some confectionery sugar, just start cutting some slices and mowing down on that, because that will be a game changer for you. If you've never tried dulce de leche, you need to. In fact, let's talk about dulce de leche right now. First and foremost, let's discuss the fact that my first language is Spanish, specifically Castellano. Now, Castellano is the particular dialect that comes from the region of Spain called Castile. That is where the name Castillo comes from, which is the word that eventually evolved into castle. It was a place where there was a lot of fighting during the Middle Ages and the Dark Ages, where Spain essentially was invaded by the Moors, and they had to deal with constant combat and so forth. So they had to build what became castles. And that region was called Castile. Just a little history there. So Castellano was exported essentially to the New World through the conquering of the land. And this particular language is predominant mostly in South America, in Argentina and Uruguay. Now, before we continue, let me just quickly go back to the chat here. Jacob makes a good point. Yes, cinnamon spread with apples and vanilla ice cream. That does sound good. So, in Argentina, there's a common caramel spread called dulce de leche. And as I was saying earlier about the language, I have a particular pet peeve with people out there, especially in the food industry, who think that they understand how to pronounce a food properly, especially when they haven't been born in that culture and don't know shit. So I've encountered this several times, where somebody, I see something on a menu with dulce de leche. So I said, I'd like to have that with dulce de leche, and they're like, okay, with dulce de leche coming right up. I'm like, no, it's dulce de leche. The problem is people are stupid. That's first. The second thing is that people are confusing two different languages here. Italian and Spanish. They're two totally different things. If you pronounce it in Spanish, which is where it comes from, it is that part of the Hispanic South American culture, it's dulce de leche. Simple as that. Now, if you're going to say Italian, the first word, which in Spanish is pronounced dulce, in Italian it's spelled the same, but it's pronounced dulce. This is where these, brain-dead servers are taking this from. So dulce. But it's not de leche now. De leche is in Spanish. Dulce di latte. Di is of in Italian. Latte is milk in Italian. So no, you don't mix the two terms together, and you certainly don't get attitude when I tell you how you're supposed to fucking pronounce it. Because this is truly, it is the treasure of Argentina and the treasure of South America. There's a lot of imitators, but there's no duplicators, and the stuff that you get in Argentina is the best dulce de leche out there. So when you've got one of these uppity little hipsters with his man bun and shit, and he's trying to tell you how to pronounce literally the food of your homeland, well, people get got, because this is unacceptable. And I will never tolerate the mispronunciation of literally what is the food of gods. Now let's take a look quickly at a picture of this stuff so that you can see how delicious and beautiful it is. Back to the chat here. Oh, no, see, this is a point of contention for me, JR4 the Third. It's a very passionate point, and it must be made. Look, I understand that servers have a job to do, but if you're going to wear a man bun and claim cultural appropriation at some BLM rally, you better be pronouncing my food properly, because that's cultural appropriation. In fact, that's two different cultures they're appropriating there. Italian and Castellano Hispano. Now, the cool thing about dulce de leche, for one, is totally different from the caramel that you might find in North America. It's a lot smoother, and it's not as thick. But it's not. It's got a creamy texture, but it's not like runny creamy. And it's so noticeable from North American, even British caramel, which is referred to, I guess, more commonly as toffee, which is extremely hard. Okay, so the British stuff, hard. American, less hard. And then this stuff is just like, it's silk almost. It's not runny, but it is divine. I can't really properly contextualize the material. It's like silk almost. And the taste is so different from what you find in North American toffee or caramel, for example. This would probably be, it's got a slightly salty, burnt, not really burnt, but it's like the taste is, okay, I'm not sure if you've ever tried this before. Like, there are some people out there, and even companies that make chocolate chip cookies, but they have cookies, not cookies. I'm actually trying to make sure that I'm not drooling while I'm talking. Where you'll have some sea salt put onto some, any sort of cookies, chocolate chip, peanut butter, whatever. It makes a fucking world of difference. So, and it's not overwhelming though. It just complements it so well, but it creates such a unique flavor that it just fits perfectly. I would have to explain that somewhat similarly with this. The way that dulce de leche comes together in flavor is just so substantially different. It's still sweet, and it can be quite sweet, but It's not that it hurts my teeth. I know this is fake sugar hydrogenated garbage American caramel feeling that you get. Let's shout out Jacob Sousa in the chat. Says, what up, Dave? Just hopped in. Is he talking about Canadian caramel? No, this is Argentine caramel known as dulce de leche. Literally one of the greatest inventions of all time. Now, the great thing about dulce de leche is that it's so easy to make. It takes time, and that's just, I mean, that's how it works. But it's relatively easy in regards to the number of ingredients that you need to use. Excuse me. All right, so basically what you're doing is you're just basically boiling down milk and sugar. So by taking sweet condensed milk, that's probably a quicker, more modern way, but the old school way is to put this all into a pot. And, the women making this would make a big pot because they'd be in the kitchen all day making other stuff as well. So they have it on low, and, they can ensure that this stuff doesn't burn. By making it with the condensed milk, you can actually, sometimes you can make it, if you know what you're doing, you got to be careful with this. But you can actually, you can make them inside the can. You can actually pressure cook them with it, like the condensed milk within the can, and actually make it come out as dulce de leche. You don't have to have it on the, on the pot simmering, on the saucepan simmering for 8 hours. And it's not, it's not that long. It can take that long depending on how much you're making, but it can, it can take a couple of hours, and it can take more. But that is one way of doing it, and I would very much recommend, if you ever consider it, to look online for instructions and tutorials, because if you're going to be boiling food inside, cans, utilizing pressure, there are chances that shit can blow up. And you got to be experienced knowing that stuff to know what you need to be looking for and what to do. So Jacob Sousa seems to know what dulce de leche is. He says he does love himself some dulce de leche whenever I get a chance to order it on a menu. Yes, absolutely. And the great part is that even up here in Canada, we have basically, you know how every supermarket has its in-house brand? It could be labeled anything, but it's coming from a central factory anyways, that they just label it differently because that's the company that knows the recipe. Well, you can find in-house dulce de leche at basically every Canadian supermarket that I've seen. Obviously not the Chinese ones that are all in Chinese and, won't even talk to you because you're not Chinese, but just about, from the low-end discount sort of grocery markets all the way up to the finest, most expensive ones, you'll find dulce de leche. It's become prevalent, well-known, and you can try it for yourself. And it goes on anything. You can literally just put it on fruit. You can put it on a cake, inside a cake, on pancakes, crepes, what else? Cookies. Eat it just with a spoon. Be very careful because you won't stop, and that will make you feel very, very bad afterwards. But you can get it if you want to try it. And what I'd recommend, if you can, especially those in America. Now, this is a game changer for you Americans because it's not as possible here in Canada. But there is a particular company, a Argentinian company, that makes what are called alfajores. Now, this company obviously makes the dulce de leche. Their dulce de leche is well known in Argentina. However, in my opinion, there is a better dulce de leche. In fact, let's do that first before I jump off the deep end. this is important to actually cover because the land of dulce de leche has a lot of different types of dulce de leche, and they are, in my opinion, best of the best. But Havana does not, in my opinion, have the best dulce de leche. There's one company above all else, and I'm going to copy a couple of photos here because I want to show you a few. And what I'm hoping for is that for you Americans, if you're really looking to try the authentic stuff, that you basically get, like, you can order this stuff because it's constantly being flown into Miami. Like, Miami has a huge expatriate Argentine population, and this stuff is literally being shipped in there every day. So you can get this stuff fresh. And in the States, your shipping works amazingly well, so it gets there quick. Not so for here in Canada. But you guys can get, like, the authentic stuff, fresh, and it's like the best stuff. You're not going to find the homemade stuff, the in-home brand, for example, that a supermarket might have, ain't going to fucking touch this shit. Any attempt to sort of duplicate it by a North American, organization, not going to do it. I'm just about to find oh, there it is. There it is. Yes. This is the holy grail for me. This is the holy grail of dulce de leche. So let me just quickly find... I never even expected to talk about dulce de leche today, but this is an important topic that we must discuss. So, let's make that big. Bear with me here, people. Sorry. Okay. So, here are two. These are well known. Let's see here. The transitioning here should be all right. So you've got Havana, dulce de leche. And then you've got San Ignacio. And you can actually get San Ignacio here in Canada. So that's a cool thing. But there is the Holy Grail. Now, the Holy Grail, if you can ever get it, I think you will enjoy it. The consistency of all three that I'm showing you are different, okay? The flavors are similar, but each of them's unique in their own way, but overall they are consistent. But you're going to notice slight deviations. So the Holy Grail itself, something that even Indiana Jones would pursue relentingly. It is by the company called Chimbote. And Chimbote, in my opinion, literally is the best dulce de leche on the planet. There's nothing better. And I know it's shipped into the States. So if you can actually get a hold of this stuff, you can thank me later. Also, I find it very comical that nowadays you find gluten-free or libre de gluten on dulce de leche all the time. And it's obvious because it's just literally milk and sugar, and gluten comes from wheat and grains. But yeah, that's just another way to remind people, oh, yeah, you can eat this. I know you're just pretending to be gluten intolerant, but it's gluten-free. So there you have it, people. That is, in my opinion, the greatest dulce de leche ever. Now, there are people that make their own that can be better than this, but it takes skill to do so. But why? Why, you ask? Why, Dave? Why is Chimbote so important, especially for this company called Havana? Why, like, what game do you have? What dog do you have in the game? Well, I'm not sure about a dog, but I can tell you it's somewhat close to an obsession. There have been fights between me and my siblings for these things when we were young. Obviously, you'll understand why. There's nothing greater than an alfajor de Habana. So if you just bear with me while I find, there we go. That is a good representation of this beauty, this unmatched beauty that you are now to be exposed to. And it's okay to cry. Behold, in all its splendor. Ladies and gentlemen, this is just one of many alfajores de Habana. This one has a nice thick layer of Havana dulce de leche in the middle, surrounded by two delicious crumbly cookie circles, fully encapsulated within a nice thin layer of chocolate. Let me tell you, if you can get this, do so. In fact, I don't know what I would do many things to get a hold of these. Now there's different, yes, Nikki Nines, this isn't just good, it's great. This is some of the greatest confectionaries that you could ever have. And it's not just this, because they have multiple types of alfajores, and it is an absolute pleasure that I share them with you. Now, buckle up, because now we're going to get into something sexy. Take a look at this. Take a look at this now. So, some of you might have tried meringue before. There's something called meringue pie. Now, imagine this. Instead of chocolate coating these delicious cookies, hugging that amazing, delicious layer of dulce de leche, well, imagine meringue instead. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. This one's amazing. This one, it has this, the difference in flavor between this and the one covered in chocolate, despite them basically only having a different covering, is night and day. Delicious. Absolutely delicious. But it doesn't stop there, people. No. It doesn't stop there at all, because they've been busy boys and girls down there. In fact, they're now starting to do many more little confectionaries and goodies. And I want to share those with you right now as well. So take a look at this. And this. Like, they've really stepped up their game. And one of these, the ones you're going to see, is you're going to get it. Because, you know, you don't do this and not expect to go big. This is big time. This is big time stuff. So I'm almost here. Let's just get one more photo. All right. Now, remember, alfajores are not unique to Argentina. Okay, dulce de leche is not either, but it's predominant there. It's just become so much of a staple that it's just extremely common and eaten basically with everything. But let's now get this image on the screen. Excuse me. Getting hungry. Let's see here. Getting too many images. Okay, almost. Okay. So, we got dark chocolate. Dark chocolate instead of the milk chocolate that was covering the previous one that was mentioned. So, already, now we're getting into some big stuff here, okay? Because this dark chocolate is of good quality, and yeah, they definitely put the effort in that. So let me just quickly go back to the chat while I see this transition. All you got to do is just Google it. Just look up Havana Alfajores or Havana, and then and remember it's two N's because it's not the city in Cuba. And put in Buy America or something. You can possible if it's. I'm just referring to Jacob's question if you can get these in Canada. I've seen them here, but they're extremely hard to find because you need to specifically go to a Latin-based, food place, and there's so much in demand that usually they're brought in, on reservation as opposed to just being able to just walk into the store and pick them up. So if you are able to walk into a store and pick them up, they probably go real quick. So usually when I've gotten these, it's because family members have actually flown to Argentina and come back with like literally a fucking travel bag full of them. So let's see here. I see a message you can get them you just bought them on Amazon. Okay, I hope they come fresh for you because the thing is though, I'd rather be shipping from $18. Damn, they went up in price. I've seen them at 14. I've seen ads for places in Miami, these little Latin stores that will order this stuff, or they have it in stock. So, and the prices I saw were like $14, $12, whatever. Okay, next up here, because we ain't done yet. There's one, hold on. Oh, talking about big, like when a company does this that I'm just going to show you right now, they're going big. Okay, because this is for the high-end clientele now. 70% cacao puro. Okay? 70% pure cacao. That stuff ain't cheap. That stuff's actually extremely good for you. Chocolate's actually very good for you when it's unprocessed. We gotta be honest. But that a company's going big when they're offering that amount of pure cacao. So that proves that as well. And you can see the difference in the packaging. The packaging, for those that understand marketing, psychology, this speaks a lot about the product itself and what they're trying to say, which is high-end quality. And now we look at what else Havana has been up to. Check this out. All right, so we've got the typical yellow boxes. They used to come, one flavor each box, but they're mixing them up now. But you've got the one with the meringue, and you've got the chocolate-coated one as well. So you'll see the actual alfajores in the bottom right corner, where the gold one corresponds to the chocolate, and the silver one corresponds to the one covered in meringue. Now, just below that box at the bottom, you see a little chocolate in the shape of a crown. That's their chocolate. A lot of these candies do actually come with a little bit of dulce de leche as well inside. Now look at the upper right-hand corner. You've got these little cookies. Those are lemon bread cookies. And they're crispy, and they've got this beautiful, delicious, light flavor taste of lemon. But it's not the artificial garbage that you will find in North America. The difference in ingredients from things that are made in South America compared to even cookies, compared to what's up here, is night and day. You can taste the difference, and you also don't feel like shit afterwards. It's huge. Now let's take a look at the blue box. The blue box are called Habanets, which means like little Havanas. And essentially what they are, and I'm going to have to show you a visual representation of this so that you can truly understand what we're dealing with here. If this will work. Oh, they made another one of this? Oh, I think it's got hazelnut now. They made one with hazelnut. Oh my, wow. They really fucking... Okay, I'm gonna have to show you some various photos here, because like they busted out on this too. They really diversified their offerings, because 5 years ago this wasn't this way. Let's see here. These are deadly though. These, to me, these are a little too heavy. I mean, I can eat one, but I gotta space it out and like wait, because it's like they can feel real heavy. So okay, so take a look at this. Essentially what it is imagine like an alfajor, that cookie, but a smaller one on the bottom. Now you make a cone on top of that with dulce de leche, and then you encase that in chocolate. So that is called an habanet. And initially it was just what you see right there. Very simple. But they've gone ahead and changed the game again. So they're making them, I'm looking at something else that I just learned right now. They're actually making them with the 70% pure cacao. And this one's, I knew about this one, but it's, I guess they changed the packaging as of late. Let me just get a good quick photo for you so you see what I'm talking about. Yeah, this is good enough. Come on now. Where'd she go? There it is. Now there's this. Covered in white chocolate. So not only are you going to find it covered in the regular milk chocolate, in the 70% cacao, in the dark chocolate, but you're also going to get white chocolate. Yeah, Jacob Blinkhort says it right. That company got the sweets on point. Oh, Feslov says, just got a box also. We're going to end up causing a Havana shortage here. Amazon should give DDR % of sales today. Yeah, they should. Or maybe they should just pay their fucking employees so they don't have to actually shit in a bucket while they're on the job. But, yeah, and, yeah, Amazon, I guess, is selling them because you guys are buying them up. But I do know for a fact, an absolute fact, that I've seen ads for little grocery stores, okay? Like little websites for little grocery stores. It's not just like a big shipper gets this stuff. So, you know, even, for example, in New York, I've seen ads and I've seen websites of places, Latin places, that sell this stuff. And, like, I guess they're getting constant flights from Argentina because they're getting this stuff fresh. And you can order it online and stuff, and obviously there's an expiry date on this stuff because a lot of the stuff is milk and cream and chocolate and based stuff. And and when you get this stuff, it still has substantial life left to it, which means that this stuff is literally being shipped in every day. So, and you know for a fact, because I can assure you of this, and you can look it up yourself, the number of preservatives and the types of preservatives used in this doesn't compare to what's in North America. And despite its diminished shelf life compared to what's in North America, it still lasts substantially, long, and it doesn't compromise flavor or health for longevity. So apparently Jacob Blinkhorn is checked. I guess he's checking with the Canadian price. And he says on Amazon they are $17.44 plus 5 for shipping. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. But I assure you, there are places in Canada that will get this stuff. It's hard, but you can find it. But in America, there are literally corner stores that you can walk in and buy it. Now, apparently, I guess this must be something new because I just learned this now. This wasn't like this 5 years ago, but they've opened a Canadian branch. Okay. Why the fuck did you not literally tell me this stuff? I'd be working there right now. Like I'd be the Dulce de Leche Havana ambassador. They're in Oakville. Well, that's a ways away, but you know what? I'm gonna have to call them up. All right. Let's see here. Buy online. In Canada, you can buy from a company called Sombrero. And they appear to be geared to Canadians. Yes, they are. They are a Canadian company. SombreroLatinFoods.ca. So, let's see how much these... Whoa. Fucking Canada and their fucking taxes. Check this out. Okay. So for... Oh, they're doubling it up here. Okay, a regular box of 12 of the mixed, both the chocolate and the meringue, $29.99. A box of 6, $18.99. The box of 9 70% cacao, $26.99. 2 mixed boxes of 6, $33.99. Wow. Motherfuckers. Well, that's what happens when, you live in a country with socialized healthcare and literally the most inept politicians ever on the planet. But yeah, there we go. How quaint. Well, I guess Bezos gets more money from Canadians, and yeah, how great. That makes me happy. Well, I still know that you can get them cheaper in these local stores, even here in Canada. So, if you are, tenacious like me, and you like to hunt things down, and especially those things that are so elusive that finding them literally is like finding the Ark of the Covenant, then stay with the challenge, because you will find them in Canada. You'll find them in the States, and obviously Jeff Bezos is selling them too. But let's quickly take a look at what a traditional alfajor looks like. Because the thing is, though, although they are very common in Argentina, and the more popular one is the Habana, you will find this type of alfajor that I'm about to show right now, not only in Argentine confectionery stores, but basically in just about any South American store. Alfajores are common throughout South America. And what you'll see is that the cookie is slightly different. This is more crumbly. It's somewhat like shortbread. Very much like shortbread that's not too hard. It's more crumbly. And a very cool thing about it, which actually makes the flavor so much different but also so delicious, is it's actually got some coconut shreds just covering the layer of dulce de leche in the middle. And let me tell you, this really makes a big difference. A big difference. It's unique. It lightens the flavor somewhat, and it's just a perfect combo. Really, really good. So they could be, You could go to a place that's, I don't know, Colombian, Ecuadorian. I think the Peruvians have this. And you know what? Even into Central America, Ecuador, sorry, not Ecuador, sorry, what's it called? Fuck. El Salvador, sorry. El Salvador has them. Guatemala, Costa Rica. So they have, their alfajores are much similar to this, but you can also find a different sort of recipe combination, different coverings and such. So if you ever find alfajores, just try. Just go and try. Like even something like this. You walk into a Latin store and they've got this stuff, try one. Yeah, I think you'll like it. So, yes, indeed. We've covered a subject that I didn't intend to talk about, but a good discussion nonetheless, because dulce de leche will always remain close to my heart. And alfajores, literally, I will probably get into a physical fight over, especially if they come from Havana. So, you've been warned. And trust me, you've been warned if you do share this with other people that they might also act in such a way. So, be very, very careful, because once you've, it's like a vampire. Once you've had the taste of this, you're going to constantly be, desiring it till the end of time. Sorry, it's just how it's going to be. So, just be warned. You know what? This is now a good time. I know we're talking random stuff, but now is a good time actually for me to mention this. Is that I was speaking to a certain individual today who is probably one of the most inept individuals I've ever met, who has publicly admitted that he can't cook. Now, I continue to pursue the reason why it is that this is the case. But perhaps I'll make a separate episode called Food Investigations, and we'll cover that there. What we're covering now is more positive things, what came out of that conversation. Now, this individual, who will be revealed later, proposed something that made me question how it is that he can always appear so stupid and yet sometimes come out with these ideas that are pure gold. Now, his suggestion was as follows. Since he doesn't know how to cook, how about he is guided on a show on how to actually follow a recipe, and while doing so, he's live on the show being instructed and given a meal that won't take more than 20-30 minutes to make. At which point, we would be reminding him, okay, the time is now to go pull out the food. Why don't you put it onto a plate, present it in such a way that you can film it and show us, and now tell us what it tastes like. And essentially, be sort of a food challenge, a cooking challenge to this individual and perhaps other individuals on the same call. Perhaps everyone wants to follow the same recipe at the same time and see how it turns out, and everyone eats the same meal at the same time at the end of that broadcast to sort of compare notes, how it turned out for them, how much it took for them with their particular stove or with their oven. Perhaps maybe a different flavoring that they added. And essentially, since it's all being cooked at the same time, all the same quantities and so forth are being sort of put forward, everyone can essentially have the meal finished at the same time, and it can all be compared and discussed, and we can see whether or not perhaps somebody's oven, needs work because it's not heating the food as quick, or perhaps we learned that somebody added an extra spice and it made the dish even more enjoyable. So that was a very, very interesting idea, very creative, I thought, and I like the idea of essentially, very much like, I guess, Gordon Ramsay, is having people cook on a show while you're running that show, and at the conclusion of that show to compare what's been done and see if the meal was actually completed in such a way that it is considered enjoyable. Plus, this individual could benefit from actually learning how to cook rather than relying on family members and ordering out to to satiate their appetites. So I think that is a cool concept. It's different. And yeah, it's something that I think can easily be accomplished. So I'd love to hear your input on that for those in the chat right now, as well as hear if there's anyone else who might be interested in participating. What I was thinking of something is along the lines of, just a recipe in the oven that wouldn't take more than 20, 30 minutes. Could be something simple like chicken breasts. Could be roasted potatoes. That would take more like 40 minutes. But yeah, I would think that is definitely something that we can accomplish. I think it'd be very enjoyable to see how certain individuals progress and see how well it comes out. As well as to show people how easy it really is to cook and how little time it actually does take. You know, this individual is claiming that they don't have the time, and we know that's bullshit. Perhaps something as simple as a slow cooker recipe can be utilized by these individuals. But we're not going to do an 8-hour stream or even a 4-hour. Well, I guess we could do a 4-hour stream because that's what you would get. You know, you set a slow cooker on high, and depending on the recipe, you can have that done in about 4 hours. So that would be a marathon of a show, which is still possible. But I'm just throwing it out there, and I'd like to hear what people say. So we're going to go back to the chat. I'm going to shout out Casey's Raw. Jacob Blinghorn says, Dave, if you go to Havana, Canada, the site, it will show you the retailers that carry them. Okay, because I only saw the sombrero. But yeah, the retailers should allow you to go to them directly. I just didn't want to jump back and forth because I'm monitoring the stream and all this other stuff. Travis says, Dave, today for lunch we broiled lamb chop ribs. I'm not a big fan of lamb personally, but that sounds like I love broiling meat and I love ribs, so I'm sure it tasted good. Just I'm not a fan of lamb. Maybe it's just never been served up to me properly, but I doubt that because I've tried lamb in every single form. Actually, you know what? Lebanese. There's can't remember what it's called. It's chopped up. I think it's cold. Yeah, it's actually baked in. I gotta look into that. That was okay. It had a lot of spices though. But just like if, I go out and buy a piece of lamb and either broil it or, fry it or whatever, I'm not a fan of that meat. Goat, on the other hand, I fucking love. Let's see here. So he said, used black pepper sauce on them. Amazing. Black pepper sauce is good, but here's the thing, though. Good meat doesn't require sauce, period. All it requires is a little bit of salt. That's it. Doesn't even need pepper. A little bit of salt to draw a little bit of moisture out. That literally is what a proper cut of meat requires. Whenever you have to douse meat in sauces, you know that meat isn't that good quality. And that the flavoring really is to cover up something. That's a big reason why spicing of meats, has been popular for a long time, since, ancient times, is because you can preserve meat even if it's somewhat rotted by utilizing spices. So even if it's a famine and you got rotten meat, it's still preserved enough that you can still eat it and not die, But back to the chat here. King David 0455 says, does not have time equals impatience. Impatience, laziness, sloth, pride, a lot of things go into that. And I'm very interested in trying to get to the bottom of that. Casey's Ross says, there's always time you could cook. Absolutely. And here's another thing. Even if you don't have the time, it's called a slow cooker. You can literally buy them in Canada for $20. New. So if in Canada, with all our taxes, you can buy them new, you got to be able to find the same for $10 maybe? In America? There's no chance in hell the same shit that we have here costs as much in America. It never does. We got 13% national tax here. Well, it's an HST. Um, so yeah, a slow cooker does all the work for you. So he can't even make that excuse that, oh, I don't have time to cook. You can literally have 5 minutes to open up a tray of chicken breasts, wash them off, throw them into the crock pot, throw in a can of condensed mushroom soup, mix it all up, put the lid on, put it on low, and 8 hours later, literally have a full meal that can feed multiple people, including this individual. So, crock pots are made for those that are busy. And if you don't even try to utilize a crock pot and you still make the excuse that you're too busy, you're a liar. It's as simple as that. So Travis says, yeah, it didn't need the sauce, but we like the sauce with it. It's not a lot of sauce, it's just a little coating. Yeah, okay. I don't always, I'm not a big fan of, the amount of sauce that a lot of people put on just about everything. I mean, HP sauce, like, if your steak was good, you don't need to put sauce on it. What's the point? I don't get it. And marinades are good if you need, to add some extra flavor, but there's a difference between that and what you see in North America, where everything is coated with an extra layer of, some sort of sauce that's sugar-based. So let's see here. Just a reminder, Skype lines are open. So if anyone actually wants to call in and give me some information, especially you, Gabe. I don't know. You gotta be calling in here. I want to learn from you and your stuff. But yeah, I'd like to hear from more people and perhaps some recipes, maybe some thoughts on what we've discussed today. See if they can pronounce dulce de leche properly. Shout out to Nikki J there joining us in the chat. Not to be confused with Nikki Nines. And let's see. Oh. So let's see here. What's the next thing I'm going to bring up? I've actually been thinking as well of doing a few particular episodes on topics like tea, afternoon tea, which isn't, like what we think in North America, which is just a cup of tea. It's what the British do. It's their afternoon sort of early dinner. It's their supper, basically. So you've seen videos of this where people go for tea time and they got all the little sandwiches and little cakes and foods and such. And it's an interesting experience, and it's also great for when you host get-togethers and parties and stuff, especially if it's an early afternoon get-together. It's light. The great thing about finger foods is that you're not stuffing your face, while you can take a small bite and continue on a conversation and not literally be invested in downing an entire meal. But hosting is something that I think is that this British tea or afternoon tea really complements. And I know a lot of people are either haven't hosted get-togethers, or perhaps they don't know how, or they've had bad experience, as I've got into in the past, about the pure blatant disregard for the rules of potlucks, which I might have to make a standalone video on that too, because that's still a issue of contention. And my therapist said that she doesn't want to work with me no more because I won't let go of that issue. But I told her, no, there are rules to follow when it comes to a potluck, and I will not accept such blasphemy. So, but yeah, so I might make another episode on that, covering that sort of thing. But let's see here. There was a few other topics I was going to discuss. Oh yeah, shout out to Jacob Blinkhorn. Excuse me, damn it. Shout out to Jacob Blinkhorn, who's not just in the chat right now, but went off and tried to. God damn it, this weed's good. He actually made tomato sauce based on a recipe that I provided him. And I'm just trying to find the photo here because I wanted to show it. And he made it actually in the slow cooker because we were just discussing time. This is where a working man, a man with a family, this is where the importance of a crock pot comes into play and how it's so easily demonstrated as being so useful, but also so easy. So let me just quickly show you here. So he actually made it with a slight deviation to my recipe, which is perfectly fine because recipes are really they're just a recommendation. It's a base model. The recipe depends on you. So although the recipe does call for a ground sausage, Jacob was saying that the sausage itself doesn't fall well with him. Now, I don't like spicy sausage because the same thing happens to me, but maybe a honey garlic sausage or just a plain sausage without the excessive spice that you find in a lot of sausages, that would work well with this because essentially this was to be a meat-based pasta sauce made in the slow cooker. So give me a second here. Yeah, so the thing is though, so he changed the meat components, which was very easy. Instead of half a pound of pork and half a pound of beef, it was just 1 pound of beef. Simple. And he actually decided to make meatballs. You could have, and again, he knew this too, and he made it his way. This is fine. But the recipe initially called for you to make the beef first, the ground beef, then put that into what you would put into the crock pot to essentially cook. So you were obviously, like a person who's making this recipe would be putting, obviously, the cooked ground beef, which may have been with a mixture of sausage as well, into the mixed ingredients that would be put in the crock pot. Mix it all up, and then you put it on for 8 hours. But Jacob altered it by basically making his meatballs separate and then adding them later to the components and so forth. And as you can see, he's serving it here with some spaghetti, and that sauce itself essentially contains just about every single ingredient that I had given him in that recipe. But that's the best part, is he adapted it to his needs. And initially, although we were talking about pot sizes, what kind of stove he had and so forth, the quarts of this, of the container, we also talked about time constraints and all that. And then obviously I said, well, you can also make it in the slow cooker, and that essentially liberates the use of the stove. And, you just set it and forget it, So he decided to go with that method, which is great because it's convenient and it's time saving, and it limits the amount of mess that you can make. And something as simple as that, he made it and served it to his family and stuff, and apparently it was a big hit. He seemed to like it a lot. So I'm glad that it worked for him, and that they all enjoyed it, because that makes me happy. Sorry, I had to mute myself a cough. Ooh. I think it's a combination of me imbibing in a little bit of cannabis, as well as me literally constantly sucking the saliva back into my throat so that I don't drool. You guys aren't the only one that makes, that I make hungry, okay? And I can't blame you. But yeah, I'm quite happy with with how it turned out for him. And I want to just catch up on the chat here. So Travis says, speaking of tea, we have real legit tea leaves straight from China. It was picked there and everything, 100% authentic tea. It's amazing. Get some hot water, throw it in, done. Yeah, I mean, I've tried Chinese tea. I've got legit Chinese tea. I like tea from India. That's extremely good. Specifically Sri Lanka or Ceylon. That's a really good tea. And they're known. I mean, that's why tea spread. Because the British come over to India and they're like, this is the greatest thing ever. We've got to spread this across the entire Commonwealth and the Empire for the Queen. And now it's ubiquitous. So, let's see, what else does Travis say here? This type of tea you wouldn't be able to get other than in China. They don't export tea. Yeah, come on, man. Come on. Travis says, here comes those famous Dave Rose death coughs. Yeah. Can't kill me yet. Jacob Blinkhorn says, go to secondhand store, $3 for a slow cooker. Yeah, you can get them cheap. Thing is, though, if you can get them new at 20, go for that. I mean, it's just so inexpensive that you want to go with one that hasn't been used at all. So there's definitely options out there, and they're very affordable. So let's see what else here. So yeah, that pasta sauce recipes seem to work quite well. And there was something else I was going to talk about in regards to recipes. There was, I believe, somebody else. Oh, yeah, Nikki Nines actually has some good recipes for bread. And I'm looking forward to trying out some of that. So I've got all the ingredients necessary. And I hope to document at least a little bit and preview it here. But baking bread can be a challenge. And, obviously a lot of people don't do it because it's just easier for someone to go buy a loaf of bread at the corner store. But you can, if you've got a bread maker or just a simple oven, you can actually make your own bread and start to actually displace a lot of the costs that you might have in bread. Bread is a very common thing in North American foods. Well, grains in general, really, but it's also prevalent, through Europe as well, and the Mediterranean. But it's not as prevalent as it is here, where there's a lot of emphasis on eating and consuming bread. Olive Garden, for example, is notorious for the fact that one of their biggest sellers is their bottomless breadsticks and salad. Now, that's the perfect strategy, is to fill somebody up on breadsticks, and they can't, and it's cheap to make, so they can't order some of the more expensive things. So, what's it called here? We got Bam, who says, slow cookers, new cost, F all, just wait for a sale. You can walk into Walmart, get one for $20 here in Canada. I've seen them at Canadian Tire. I've seen them actually at supermarkets, literal supermarkets. They have one on the shelf, $20. It's totally new, and it's the brand It's the brand Crock-Pot, which is the more well-known brand. Sure, you can go crazy and get one of these Food Ninjas, and it's got the air fryer, it's got the slow cooker, it's got the rice maker, it's got the bread. You could, if you want to really go and spend all that money on that. But I mean, you should, if you're investing in that, it needs to be an investment, and you need to actually plan to use the rest of those features. If not, it literally is a waste of hundreds of dollars, because those things ain't cheap. But a simple slow cooker can last you a long time, a very long time actually, and are very common and are very, very easy to use and to find recipes for. You can take literally 3 ingredients, set it on for 8 hours, and you've got a meal that feeds 4 people. It's the you don't have any more excuses machine. That's what it is. Back to the chat here. Ronald Booth says there are about $20 for a decent sized one here too. Yeah, I think they're about, 8 quarts, could be larger. Yeah, Jacob Blinghort confirms that sauce was bomb. I'm glad. And there was a substantial amount of ingredients in there. I wanted to give them the full deal. You can make it with very simple ingredients and not too numerous. But what I gave him was a very lengthy list of ingredients that I wanted to pop for him. I wanted that, for him to truly understand how well you can flavor sauce. Not rely on this crap that they sell in the stores that yeah, it's a flavor of the sauce. Yeah, it tasted like a shit. I wanted the real deal. And yeah, this recipe could have been made on the stove for 8 hours. And I am a traditionalist. I do like that because I do like, the activity of cooking. But when you need to conserve the use of the kitchen, because you literally don't have a Nancy Pelosi $23 million kitchen, then, you have to understand that using a crock pot is convenient and allows for the continual usage of the kitchen for other purposes. So, that's that. Bam. Yeah, Bam's just talking about my reference in regards to the cost of and availability of slow cookers. And yeah, crock pots are the more common ones, but you can find just about any brand name out there, and they all do just about the same thing. But when you can find the original, the one with the good record, and literally find it for $20, I think it's worth the investment, because that's what it is. It's an investment. It's something that you can plan meals throughout the entire week, and all you're literally doing is, at night after dinner, you could be preparing this stuff for the next day, and then in the morning you turn on the crock pot, and when you come back from home or from work, it's all ready to go. Or you could prepare it in the morning, which wouldn't take too long, turn it on, and then go to work. When you come back, it's ready. So prep time is really the longest that you need to do with it. That's it. Once it's all prepped, you pop it in there, set it on, and you walk away. So there's no excuses when it comes to the crock pot. And with the simplicity of literally just being able to put a bunch of different beans in there, a few other ingredients like water, some spices, set it on. You got chili by the time you get home. You could do something similar and put a bunch of stewing beef parts, right? You got beef stew when you get home. So the possibilities are endless. You can even make ribs in there. You can make pulled pork in there. You can make eggs in there. There are some really cool recipes that you can utilize inside a slow cooker to cook unconventional foods. Even cake you can cook in a slow cooker. So let's just go back to the chat here and see what's being said. Looks like there's a few idiots here who I guess have nothing better to do. But again, you're easily dismissed. You don't slow me down in the slightest. I've got people actually who are paying attention in the chat, moderators and such. And plus I actually have interaction in my chat. That does make some people jealous. There are also a well-known, there's well-known half human, half mestizo rats that run around here, and there's proof of that individual, and there'll be proof of their obituary soon enough. But yeah, you can't stop me. I do better content than anyone. Not anyone. Let's be honest. I do better content than these idiots could ever do. They can really say whatever they want, but just their comments alone prove how stupid they are. And, the fact is, like, if anyone is to consider Bullfrog healthy, then they're an idiot. So, soon enough, though, Jacob, TikTok. TikTok, Jacob. But regardless, let's talk about... Oh, hold on. Let's talk about Jake Blinkhorn says, you ever try the overnight oats in a slow cooker? That's very cool, yes. You're basically making breakfast for the next morning. And it's so easy. It's just so easy. And if you got a big group of people, it's just so good to just, you get a bunch of oats, you put it in a bowl, you top it with, say, some berries, maybe some raspberries, blueberries, a little bit of maple syrup, bam! Now that's amazing as a breakfast start. Maple syrup is very versatile and actually not just limited to pancakes or waffles or even crepes. The maple syrup is the best stuff out there, and it's of the syrups, and it's not this table syrup garbage. That stuff is corn oil with sugar, and it's just terrible for you. And it doesn't taste anywhere close to what actual syrup tastes like. And I mean maple syrup. So, yeah, it's definitely something that's recommended. You can put it on yogurt, for example. I actually like that on yogurt. You can get, how plain yogurt really doesn't have much of a sweet flavor? Well, add that, a little bit of maple syrup, a little drizzle of maple syrup on some yogurt. Wow. Changes it all up. Toast. You can do it on toast if you want. A little butter and toast and some maple syrup. Actually, that does taste good. Let's see what else. Yeah, Bam6956 confirms. Yes, real syrup is amazing. And yeah, it's obviously in Canada it's a common thing. This stuff has been harvested for literally thousands of years, even before the Europeans came here, or the modern Europeans, I should say. But yeah, it's something that is recognized as healthy. It's actually very good for you, and the flavor is just spectacular. And what you can do with it is you can make candies out of it. That's a big thing here in Canada. Is when it's as a kid, it becomes a big deal that you're taken to a school, in a school trip, you're taken to a maple syrup farm. So what they're doing is they collect all the maple syrup throughout the early spring, and the kids are brought there where they start to boil this stuff down until it starts to, obviously to remove the water, and it reduces to what is maple syrup. And the natives used to pour this stuff onto fallen snow, at which point you could take a stick and basically wrap this stuff up on that stick. Because what's happening is the hot syrup, which is just sort of reduced and distilled, starts to solidify very quickly. It still has a gooey sort of consistency, but the being placed on snow starts to solidify it very quick. So if you utilize a stick, you actually can roll up into basically a small little lollipop or a sucker or something. And that was a common thing, back in the day. And that experience is now experienced by a lot of kids in Canada because it's a big deal. It's something that's part of our culture. It's something that has, is still done today. They still harvest maple syrup like that today. So it's a very cool little thing to experience, and it's part of Canada. And I know that in America, that's also something that, for example, on the East Coast, I believe Maine, it's a big thing in Maine, Vermont. So yeah, that the maple syrup harvest is a big deal. Let's go back to the chat here. Well, see, that's the thing, though. I'm not really interested in dealing with people who aren't here to talk about food. And I know that you can, again, continue to try to make up garbage and try to throw me off. I mean, this is episode 6 of Too Many Chefs. And I'm still doing a bang-up job here, and people love to see these episodes. And I'm also capable of literally doing 9.5 hours exposing the criminality of one individual in particular, plus the criminality of half-breed mestizos like Jacob RP. So yeah, it's not a big deal. In fact, I could do this literally all day. But hey, that's funny nonetheless. And if you're going to delude yourself with these things, who knows? I mean, well, I'm not going to be like a certain individual and incriminate myself on YouTube. And you can take that as however you want and try to present that in court. But, all I can say is wait and see. Wait and see. Because as the saying goes, nobody does it better than me. Nobody. So, as the dominoes continue to fall, everything will become clear, and I'll have more time to concentrate on these little gnats who will essentially find themselves with a knock on the door by law enforcement. That's correct, because now I have the necessary evidence to pursue harassment charges on these individuals, in particular one mestizo. So, hey man, keep logging those logs. Keep making your path so clear that it's easily followed digitally. I'm here for fun, and tracking you down and sending law enforcement against you, I find fun too. Because there's nothing illegal about it. And I'm not talking about one particular individual in Western Canada. I'm talking about a particular half-breed out there that ICE will find out about as well, as they will about their family. So, well, you chose it there, didn't you? You chose it. So, I'm doing my part, as they say in Starship Troopers. I'm doing my part. Remember, when push comes to shove, Dave comes out on top. Always. It's as simple as that. I always got my finger on the nuke. Always. And one more thing that you have to understand is there is the Samson option. Look it up. And then we'll see. Oh, also, I guess a side note here. Ryan Hyland of Michigan, he's going to be in very big legal trouble very soon. He goes by the name of Joe Blonin. If you ever see him, tell him that he might want to get into the witness protection program or perhaps just leave the country altogether. But, yeah, there's enough info on that individual that, knock, knock is all I can say. But, hey, you can try to pretend to be all big there in the chat. But, hey, I got the big gun himself, Chad, in the chat. He can handle this no problem. And I can trigger you to my heart's content. And there's nothing you can do about it. I can go for literally hours. Hours. And in fact, maybe I will. Who knows? We'll say one thing, though. Next Power Trip episode happens as soon as I get whatever happened last night. So, somebody get me some info. You got yourself a show. And I'm going to start to reveal more about some of these trolls here who I've been tracking and how I actually will be able to accomplish these legal charges that I'm pursuing. So if you want to enjoy that sort of drama, obviously not on this video anymore, because we'll review it on another drama-based show. So, you know what? I think we're just about done here with... actually, we got about 12 minutes before the show ends, I guess. 2 hours. That sounds good enough. And, yeah, maybe we can get a final call. But, yeah, I enjoyed talking, especially about dulce de leche and alfajores. Very, very surprised and impressed that I did such a good sales job that we had people literally buying them as I was discussing them. But I do share a very big love of food, and I love sharing that love with other people. So I can't wait to hear from you guys once you finally get these alfajores to tell me what you think. And, you know, tell me what other people thought if in fact you chose to share them, and what conflicts may have come out of that, because yeah, you'll see how good these are once you try them. But yeah, I'm very happy that I was able to share that. We talked Mardi Gras. I thought that was cool. I would love to learn more about the particular food of that region, and Gabe Rodriguez, who is a chef, has indicated he'd love to be on the show, and I would love to hear from the guy and learn from his experience, because he seems to know quite a lot about that particular style of food. But yeah, there's a few topics that I want to cover as specific topics, and not, you know, like a show like this where it was just random stuff on this particular episode. Usually I stick to one topic. But yeah, I wanted to cover a few things here. It was an impromptu sort of video. And yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed myself. I always do when it comes to talking about food. Though there is times that we all talk to our food. Like, you're so goddamn good. I know I've had conversations like that with some food. But yeah, there's some good stuff lined up, hopefully. I mean, I think it's good, but maybe you guys will think it's good too. Maybe you won't. But yeah, a lot of more good food talk. I can't wait for that viewer challenge. I really look forward to that. And I encourage everyone who wants to be involved to let me know. You can contact me, either leave a comment at the bottom of this message, or this video, and I can contact you. You can contact me at deviousdaverose@gmail.com, or actually just send me a Skype if you want. You can send me a Skype message. And what I'm hoping to do is coordinate so that if we have, say, 3 people who want to, and it could just be one, but what I'd like to do is see if we can have a couple of people who are literally just making the same dish. And we have them all prepare and start at the same time, so the preparation time is usually the same, and then they put the dish in at the same time, and then they'll basically be done at the same time, and they can both try it, and each of them tells us, the audience, how it turned out. And yeah, I would very much love to try that out. It's different. I like the challenge of trying to explain how to cook, just, you know, to people who can't see exactly what you're referring to, or just don't know the particular strategy that's best used for that food, and you just have to verbally describe how to do so. I think it'd be very cool. I think it'd be a lot of fun. So yeah, I look forward to that, and encourage whoever wants to get involved to let me know, because yeah, there's potential there as well. And let's see. Yeah, and if you're looking for recipes, just hit me up. Just like Jacob did the other day when he wanted to know a pasta sauce. If you're looking, you know, for something in particular, let me know. And yeah, I always love to get some interaction, you know, knowing how it turned out. You know, whether the recipe, you know, was satisfying to them, maybe they added some adjustments, maybe they have suggestions on how to improve it. Yeah, I'm always down with that. Always down. So I guess on that note, I mean, we're at 1:53, but yeah, we're close enough to 2 hours, I guess. I want to just, again, thank every single person for showing up here, especially the trolls who just prove that you truly are worthless and that I'm so much better than you. But yeah, all those that did choose. Danny MT was early in the chat. I missed his message. I think that's the only person's message that I missed. But yeah, I do appreciate that we did have company here on the show. Like the interaction in the chat. And I loved, as always, sharing my passion of food with everyone of you. Not sure when the next show is going to air, but it'll probably be a dedicated episode on one particular topic. So I look forward to it, whatever it might be, because either way, I like to talk food. I'm your host, Devious Dave Rose. Thanks again for joining us, and we will see you next time on Too Many Chefs.